Good evening, Fernwood. It is your marvelous martyr Neil, and it's time for us to scribble in the margins of another episode of Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman. We are watching episode 268 today from April 13th, 1977. It's the middle of the week, and it's already getting pretty loopy, so let's take a look at yesterday's episode. After coming back from jail where she was brought in the previous episode, Lila seems sad to have to leave the Jeter home. Tex comes over with some good news and bad news. The good news is that he has recovered the money that was stolen from the Dimes for the Diseases telethon. And the bad news is that Howie Freeze was found strangled the previous night. Of course, Tex doesn't share that he's the person who put the money in Howie's hands in the first place, and also he's the person who strangled Howie while disguised as a black man at the Capri Lounge. While Tex is explaining his version of the story, he puts his suitcase down and angrily greets Lila, who he is still angry at because he found her in the tub with Howie when she was trying to get the diary back from him. If you have forgotten about Wanda's diary, it's the tool that Lila was using to blackmail them. Tex's version of the story is that a black man killed Howie, is probably involved in the explosion at the plant, and Tex has nothing but spite for Lila, who picks up her suitcase and leaves. And with that, the Jeters and Tex all breathe a sigh of relief as their troubles seem to be over. And when Tex asks for his reward for bringing the money back, Merle opens up the suitcase and finds a bra, meaning that Lila took the money with her as she raced away. The Haggers met with Vernon Bales to try to explain the giant monster that Loretta saw the other night. Vernon, who is a manipulative racist, says that it was probably the Mad Bomber, who he is also suggesting was a black man. Mary Hartman stops by with an expert from the zoo, and he recognizes the plaster of Paris footprint that Loretta and Charlie got the other night as a Sasquatch or Bigfoot, and thinks that Loretta should keep singing because it's good for science and also money. Then they all hear a trap go off and think that the Sasquatch has returned, but they open the door to find Mac with his foot in a trap. He falls over, and Mary wonders if they are doing anything right. Our next scene is late at night with Mary Hartman reading in bed as she hears someone outside. She thinks it's Tom and tells her she's there. To her surprise, it is Merle Jeter, who is sad that Mary tried to return the presents that Merle gave her over the last several months. Mary says that she is a grown-up and doesn't play anymore, and Merle then switches tactic to offer her a job, but she doesn't take that either. And Merle tries to make a further connection, putting his hand on her thigh, and Mary hears another sound in the house and calls Heather up right away. And Heather's not happy to be there because she and Mary don't have a good relationship. And she doesn't notice that Mary is asking Heather to be there to get Merle away. And once Merle leaves, Heather apologizes for having interrupted something, and Mary insists that nothing was happening, meaning that there was no affair between Merle and Mary, and Heather leaves saying that Merle is a creep. And speaking of creeps, the clandestine group, the Glorious Guardians of Good, are having another meeting at the factory, and they are waiting for Tom. Tex and Merle, the actively bigoted members of this group, remind us of their plan of taking out Dewey, the janitor, and Tex really just wants to run out and lynch people, but Vernon thinks that, well, they need to be convinced a little bit of a smarter way. And Tom comes in not wearing his robes, as the boys are all starting to come to the conclusion that Dewey was the person who did the crime, even though we know that Tex and Vernon are specifically responsible for it. Tom isn't so sure about Dewey, but he believes that the person responsible for nearly killing his wife and murdering Howie, Kathy's boyfriend, will deserve some retribution. And with that, we see Tex has just a bit of fear in his eyes. As the rest of the men leave, Tex brings out the research that he stole from Howie weeks ago, and Vernon says that that is too much of a clue and that Tex should get rid of it. So Tex throws it in a garbage bin and leaves, and then Dewey comes in, takes out the trash, but while he is doing so, he reaches in as he sees Wanda's diary. And as I said, things are getting really, really loopy. We are, having a tangled web situation here. So I guess we had better see what's going on.
Mary Hartman! Mary Hartman! Sweetheart? Breakfast ready?
Hey, what's this all about, huh?
It's just a you and me celebration. It's just me being with you, that's all. 'Cause I just figured in the end, that's all we got, I got you, and you got me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And, I like you better than anyone.
Then how come you never seem to be with me?
What?
Then how come you never seem to be with me?
Been under a lot of pressures lately, Vernon seems to think that we've, maybe getting close to finding out who that, mad bomber is.
Oh.
The murder of, Howie Freeze,
Well, who did it?
Vernon thinks that, it was Dewey. Oh, now wait a minute. I didn't say I think that. Wait a minute. I didn't say that. I mean, I don't make snap
Tom,
judgments.
you can't believe that was Dewey. I mean, you just can't believe that.
Well, Heather, wait a minute. Come here. Listen, I just want you to know how lucky you are. Both of us are, okay? Because we got such a wonderful wife and a mother here. I mean,
Yeah, Merle seemed to think so, too.
what?
Yeah.
Merle?
Merle was in Mom's bedroom last night.
Merle was here last night?
Yeah.
So that's what this fancy meal is all about? Is that it, huh? Oh, the fancy meal is because you feel guilty about having some other man here? Is that it?
Oh, come on, Tom, stop it. I mean, Heather understands. Why can't you?
I don't understand.
Heather, go to school, okay? Just go to school.
I'd rather stay and watch. Oh, all right, I'll go. I never get to see anything real to life. No wonder I watch so much television.
Tom, did you hear what she just said? She thinks this is real.
Look, I don't care about that. I don't know what the hell was Merle Jeter doing in our bedroom, huh?
Tom, nothing happened. Nothing.
Wait a minute. Look, I want you to answer me one simple question, okay? All right, I want you to look right at me, right in the eye. I want you to look at me right in the eye, and you tell me there's nothing going on between you and Merle Jeter. Now, can you do that? Look at me in the eye. Come on, and tell me nothing's going on between you and Merle Jeter. Come on, tell me. Come on. Come on! want to go on GGG patrol. Just in case Dewey strikes again.
No, Tom, just leave it alone. Why do you say that? Why do you make me crazy like that? Why do you do that? You said you'd wait about Dewey. You said that.
A lot of things I don't know for sure, but a man has to trust his instincts about some things, Mary.
Oh, come on, Tom. Dewey's not the kind of man that's going to be a mad bomber. I mean, surely your instincts are going to tell you that, or they're way off. Believe me.
I'm not going to believe you. I'm not going to believe you. I'm not going to believe you about any damn thing, that's for sure. Not now. Not anymore. Look, man, you know what especially I'm not going to believe you about? It's character judgment, because you don't have any. You don't know one character from another. You know why? Because you happen to think that Merle Jeter is a good saint, and he happens to be a slick, oily con man. He's not some damn saint, Mary. He's not.
Goodbye, Lila, and very, very good riddance. Hi, Mary. How are
Hi,
you?
Wanda. Are you busy?
Oh, listen, I'm never too busy to see you.
Oh,
Come on in,
thank
honey.
you.
Hey, do
Thank
you want
you.
some coffee?
Oh, coffee. Gee, coffee is expensive. Well, I'll tell you, as a private person, I'd say yes. But as, an official, personnel, I would have to advertise boycott.
Oh, Mary, you're so refreshing, Just exactly what is your official capacity?
It's not clear to me. It's not clear. By the way, Wanda, do you think Dewey's a mad bomber?
I don't really know him. You see, he did some work for me a while back. I think he put in some screens for me once, but actually, I wouldn't characterize him as a violent type. Oh, here's Merle.
Oh, hi.
Hey, listen, hey, I got this list for you.
Oh,
How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good.
Good.
Listen, let me tell you what I've done here now.
Yeah.
I made an outline of all the duties you'd have now if you accept this job. You understand? So if
Uh-huh.
you just look over the thing, then we'll talk over the prospective working schedule, okay?
Oh, well, gee, thank you, Merle. Let me see
Here,
here.
sit down here.
Oh, thank you. Well, I would just like to say that, to begin with, that, this part here, the reading instructions
Yeah,
part.
right.
That is usually where I have the most trouble. Right in there, that area.
Merle,
Yeah.
I'd like you to do something for me in the kitchen. Okay?
What?
Oh, I'll explain it. Come on in.
Oh, all right, excuse me.
Okay.
Look it over there. What?
What in the world is going on?
What do you mean? Oh, you mean with Mary?
Yeah.
I didn't tell you that, No, I didn't tell you. I'm gonna hire her as an assistant if she'll take the job.
Why, Merle? Look, have I been judged and found wanting? Am I inadequate in some way? Is there something that you've wanted me to do that I haven't done since I got you elected mayor?
Wanda, I just need a little help at the office. It's as simple as that.
You need a little help at the office. Well, if that's true, why wouldn't Mary be working at City Hall?
You don't seem to understand. Look, I can't use city facilities for work that doesn't concern the city. Now, this wouldn't concern the city. But I don't understand this. What's the matter with you? You jealous or something? Huh? Hey, you know nothing's going on between Mary and me.
Yeah, and I have a real great idea, Merle.
What?
Keep it that way.
Well, what do you think? You got any questions there?
Yeah. It says here that one of my duties is to prepare the speeches, right?
Right, yeah.
Well, so I just want to know, does that mean write them or just staple the pages together for you to read? Because I don't have a stapler.
Dear, do you suppose that I could take a look at that list?
Oh, sure,
Thanks.
sure.
Thanks. Let's see now. Travel arrangements. Oh, you know, I really think I ought to handle that, Merle. You see, I do have connections with the travel
Oh, do
agency.
you?
Yeah.
Do you? So
Yeah.
then she's going to handle that part there?
Yeah. Well, oh, personal correspondence. Merle, I really think I ought to handle that, too. Now, I do know all those committee members, and they're the ones that the most important correspondence is going to be going to. You know. And, let's see. Oh, publicity.
Publicity.
Well, I guess we all agree that I have more experience in that area.
So you feel you should take the publicity?
Listen, I should take that on, in all fairness.
Okay.
Hey, listen, why don't I just take a look at the whole list and just sort of check off the things that I ought to handle? Is that okay? Sure. Everyone amenable to that?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
I appreciate your concern over there.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Oh, here's one. Here's one.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah. I like it. I think that about does it.
okay.
Well, Mary, we haven't heard from you. What do you think? You think you could handle a job that?
It says here, make coffee. Now,
Yeah.
I mean, I know I can do this because, you know, I've had a lot of experience doing this kind of thing. But with the price of coffee being as it is, are you sure that you want the city spending that kind of money?
Mary, I tell you, I think there'll be a lot of things you'll be doing besides, you know, just making coffee, really.
Oh, well, okay. Well, okay.
Well, I'll tell you what,
yeah,
why don't you just look it over and then just let me know, okay?
Okay.
Great.
And I just thank you very much, Your
listen,
Honor.
thank you, and I hope you can
really
do it, really,
appreciate it.
really.
Oh, and Wanda, thank you so much. I know how much you had to do with this, and I really do appreciate it. And I will. I'm going to give it some real
Great.
careful thought, you know.
Right.
and-
We'd
and
love to
stuff
have you
like
aboard,
that.
really.
Oh, thanks. That's
Okay.
really sweet of you. No one
Okay.
ever asked me to do anything.
Thanks for, let me get that.
Oh,
There you
thank
go.
you. Thank you very much.
There you go.
Oh, okay, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. It's very,
Thanks for coming
very
by.
pleasure. Great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Okay. Okay.
Bye.
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 Merle, I'd like you to give it a little thought, too. Okay?
Isn't this being a little insensitive? I mean, considering the occasion, Mother.
Oh, Kathy, you don't seem to understand. The National Enquirer says this is how the in people remember their loved ones these days.
Well, we're not exactly jet setters.
Well, that's the wonderful thing about America. We can always learn from our betters. Now, if Jackie Onassis were here now, she would say that this wake should be a celebration of Howie's life.
What's there to celebrate in Howie's life?
Oh, Kathy, don't be a party pooper. I mean, a wake pooper. Oh, there's someone there.
Here we are.
Hello.
Hi, Martha. How are you, dear?
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Kathy, how are you? Kathy, on behalf of Wanda and myself, at this time of your tragic loss, I'd like to express our deepest sympathy.
Ditto.
Oh,
Hang in there.
thank you very much, Merle. Now, here are your hats.
Oh, I think I'd prefer a green if you... Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And your horns.
Yeah, that's a horn, right? There you go.
All right,
I'll
you
take
can
one,
take
too.
that.
Okay.
And you can take that. Oh, and the heart,
Mom, please don't do that.
Oh, Mary, don't be so square. What's the matter with you people anyway? Why can't you get into the spirit of things? Here, now put on your little hat there and take
I
your
think
horn.
she's flipped out.
Yeah, but I don't. Why? What are you doing here anyway?
I don't know.
Hey, Miss Shumway.
Oh, hello, Mac.
Hello, Mary.
Hi, how are you?
Hello, Martha.
Oh, here, that's for you, Tom.
Thank you.
And this is for you, Vernon.
Oh, well, God bless you, my dear.
You want a horn?
Martha, listen. Are you going to come home or not?
Oh, George, don't be so dreary. Not at a wake. That's too depressing.
Martha, I am depressed. I'm living home alone with Grandpa and that geriatric Barbie doll. I feel like I'm living in a mortuary.
Well, if you're supposed to celebrate death, then a mortuary should be a very lively, fun place. Here,
Mac,
take...
you could have been killed. What on earth was Charlie doing with a bear trap on his front porch?
You mean you haven't heard, Kathy? There's a Bigfoot running loose in Fernwood.
A what?
Oh, you know what Bigfoot is. It's one of them huge ape-type creatures.
Kathy, imagine a person who is 8 foot tall, who is all covered with hair on the top, and underneath looks like a foot.
Oh, gosh, exactly what Fernwood needs.
And you can imagine what a nuisance this thing is, too. You know, it knocks over my garbage can every morning. You know Mrs. Cronkin's? You know Mrs. Cronkin, she lives down the block. Her husband used to be in plumbing supplies. Now he's in psychological counseling. Well, yesterday morning, they had the garage painted. This morning, it has dried now with these black hairs all coming through it. So what I said is, well, that's not such a bad way to keep the garage warm for the winter, you know. Let's go, Tom.
Wait. Attention, everybody. Now that we are all here. Oh, we're not all here, are we? Kathy, where is Howie?
Ma?
Oh.
I brought your boyfriend from the mortuary. Maybe I should have stayed and saved the trip back, which I guess I'll be doing any day now.
This is him? I mean, this is Howie? Well, I thought it was going to be in a fancy urn with decorations and things.
Urns are extra, Kathy. You ordered number 5 cremation. That's the bottom of the line.
Oh, well, here he is, Mother.
All right, now everybody, the first thing we are going to remember is what Howie here loved and knew. Now, I am going to play his favorite recording right now. It is famous broadcasts on the radio. And these sounds, you hear those sounds? That is the German army marching through Paris. And now, if you will all turn and face the rear wall, please. That picture, that is a poster of Edward R. Murrow. Oh, Howie loved Edward. And do you know he would have been another one if he had not been so brutally strangled to death.
You know, the more I think about it, the more I think this is a very interesting way to go through Howie's death. Like, to make it like a celebration instead of crying tears for him, to make it a full celebration. You know, Howie had a great curiosity about life. I mean, I remember we used to sit in my kitchen, like Howie, Dewey, and I, and we used to discuss life a lot. You know, and what would always come out would be some great curiosity on Howie's part, all the time.
No, wait a minute. You said Dewey. I mean, I told you I didn't want Dewey in our house. Now, Vernon knows about stuff like that. I mean, there are a lot of bombings and militants and murders in Fernwood, right? I mean, we can't be too careful, right, Vernon?
Oh, absolutely right.
Now, celebrators, that is enough of that marching. Oh, mercy. I am going to play now the recording that Howie made during his first days in Fernwood.
These impressions of my first days in Fernwood are for when I'm asked to write my autobiography. I just met a beautiful girl named Kathy Shumway. Now, if she doesn't hate me, I'd certainly consider losing my virginity to her. Her mother's flaky, and her father's like a bull in a china shop, but compared to the rest of the town, they are really the salt of the earth. I also met her sister Mary. She and her husband and daughter seem to be your typical everyday family. They can't stand each other. Kathy's grandfather must be 100 years old. All he does is shuffle around and make it with his girlfriend. The mayor, Merle Jeter, is oily and sleazy and will probably be the next president.
Well, it's really quite a town.
I guess it's typical American heartland. And my main reason for coming here is that I've got some leads on an evil, violent, truly un-American organization that's starting to operate underground in places just like this.
My friends, poor Howie freezes. He's trying to warn us about a militant terrorist group right here in Fernwood. And they spliced his tape for good.
Yeah,
my friends.
He's trying to save us, isn't he?
This is so sad. I never knew he was so boring.
Well, I don't know about the rest of you, but I think that we ought to do something to avenge that poor boy's death.
Oh.
Yeah, well, I'm with you.
Me too.
And who are we?
The glorious guardians of good.
Who?
Glorious guardians of good.
Again!
The glorious guardians of good. The glorious guardians of good.
Funerals used to be so much fun.
The glorious guardians of good.
So it is definitely our goodbye to Howie Freeze. And that first scene had a few layers to it. It was somewhat Mary trying to, I guess, make peace with Tom. He's had some issues recently that haven't necessarily been verbalized, unless they are the ones that he does talk about, which have been Vernon's issues that he brings up about Dewey, and the issue that he has had ongoing with Merle. And Heather is the one who brings up Merle in the first place, again, completely ignorant of what her actual role was when she interrupted Merle and Mary. It was clear to me that Mary really didn't want Merle there, and she brought Heather up there to make things awkward. But then Heather makes things awkward for Tom and Mary, because she didn't take the time to ask what was going on, and Mary didn't take the time to explain it. It's frustrating to me because Tom asks her point blank to say that nothing is going on between Mary and Merle, and Mary doesn't answer. At the very least, she could say that she doesn't have sex with him. She said that much to Wanda, but she's not saying that to Tom. So I understand why he's angry that she has a man up there that he doesn't trust. It's really not whether Tom trusts Merle, because we know that he doesn't, but Mary does not paint the best picture of herself here. Maybe it's not about painting a picture, but Mary is not presenting her side of things, that she didn't want Merle to be there. She didn't say that out loud yesterday, but it was clearly written on her face that she didn't want that attention yesterday. I'm confused what she wants now, but it seemed like yesterday that he was crossing a line. And Tom is still stirred up with all of these emotions as he goes out again for his Glorious Guardians of Good patrol, which I don't know what they're patrolling. I don't know what they're looking for. I guess they are looking for the Mad Bomber and the Strangler, who is in their midst. So they don't know what they're looking for. Tom certainly only has Vernon's image of a black militant group, which we have no real evidence exists. Again, the disinformation is running strong in Fernwood. And then we see the last of Lila in the Jeter home as Wanda takes down the last poster, and Mary stops by, I think, to ask about Dewey, because she is concerned about him. Everyone seems to think that he is a criminal, a violent criminal at that, but Mary doesn't have that feeling. And she asks Wanda about her experience, and Wanda, I had thought maybe they had more history, Dewey and Wanda, than Wanda plays out here. Like, he had done some odd jobs for Wanda at some point. Merle comes out with the continuance of the offer that he made yesterday in Mary's bedroom to give her a position as what looks like a personal assistant. This seems to be Wanda noticing again Merle's interest in Mary. And I remember the first time that Merle mentioned being interested in Mary to Wanda way back when, I think around the start of the Lila era. Wanda's reaction then was to laugh, was to think how silly that you'd want this normal housewife, but Wanda really is responding differently now. She feels threatened. And I'm not sure what has changed for Wanda since then, other than the whole, like, living with a threat in your house for months. But something has changed about Wanda's perception of the relationship between Merle and Mary. Because before Lila, she really didn't care if Merle slept with anyone. She didn't have a sense of entitlement to Merle's attentions. And now there's something unspoken in Wanda that makes her feel threatened, right? She doesn't speak it in the show. We don't know why she feels differently, but she does feel differently. And maybe if you didn't know, the episodes from several months ago, you would just assume that she would feel threatened. But, 2-3 months ago, she was trying to set up Merle with, Lila. And then our last scene is Howie's wake, which is a party. Martha wants it to be sort of continental seeming. I know that wakes are a big thing in other cultures, not necessarily suiting Kathy's mood. Kathy definitely just wants to feel sad. And we don't necessarily know her feelings about Howie specifically after his death, right? Because she was somewhat hurt that he walked out on her. At the same time, she was planning to break up with him. But she's definitely not in a happy mood. She completely has forgotten that baby that she, lost months and months ago. But then more folks show up. Merle and Wanda show up to remember Howie, and then everyone else, Mary and Tom and Heather and just all of the people. We didn't see the Haggers. We see a few of the different storylines play out, but what was real in this was the recording, right? Not the recording of the Nazis marching into Paris, which was kind of Howie's first thing. He loves the famous broadcasts. But the recording of Howie himself really calling out everything as he sees it. And it is as clear as I think an audience member would see it. He sees things really as they are, up until the point where he talks about this secret society and Vernon stops the tape and says, "Oh, Howie must have been talking about that militant group," when Vernon knows well and good that Howie was tracking down the GGG. And I wonder if anyone will hear past where Vernon stopped that tape. I'm expecting, since Vernon was holding on to the tape recorder so firmly, he's planning to destroy it somehow, but that's only a guess, because many things in this show exist past the point when they should have been destroyed. And again, it seems really sad to me that the glorious Guardians of Good have such a stronghold in Fernwood. And that's even knowing that most of the members are not explicitly racist, though they are being taken down a racist path. It is sad because they are falling for it. And Vernon is manipulating them. And the satire, I suppose, is to see where this goes, because it's scary. And Mary has some questions. Maybe not very clear about Howie or the Mad Bomber or Dewey at this point, but she still has some questions. She is not chanting GGG. So I cannot tell you what's going to happen because it's a mystery to me. And I only hope that there's more to see tomorrow. So thank you so much for watching with me. Thank you so much for leaving your thoughts, feelings, and impressions in the comments. Thank you so much for scribbling in the margins, and we will see you tomorrow night in Fernwood.